24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in 4 plants around the country, JW Aluminum is manufacturing rolled aluminum products. The aluminum rolls that come out of JW's plants are shipped to customers nationwide who use the product to make air conditioning coils, house gutters, kitchen utensils, gum wrappers, and many other items. So how does JW make its rolled aluminum? The process begins with 2 ingredients, scrap and prime aluminum, also known as ingot.
We mix approximately a 25-30% prime to 45-50% purchase scrap. When I refer to purchase scrap, it's coming back from customers that we sell to, from scrap yards throughout the Midwest. We bring it in from as far away as California and as close as here in Little Rock. Ingot and prime are approximately 2,000-pound blocks of aluminum. Some of them are T-shaped, so that you can get your fork truck under them and pick them up and place them into the furnaces. When I refer to prime, I'm referring to anything at 99.7% aluminum or greater.
Adjusting the portions of these 2 ingredients creates the proper alloy to suit the customer's needs. The scrap and ingot are taken from the scrap yard and into the melting department, where the aluminum is melted in furnaces at over 1,000 degrees.
The responsibilities of furnace operators at JW is to maintain their furnace cleanliness, to charge at the desired scrap prime percentage blends, and optimize the recovery of the aluminum. Obviously, the more we put in, the more we want to get out of it. We don't want to burn it up and send the aluminum out into the atmosphere. The furnace operator's job is to manage all those things to make sure that we're getting as much out of the scrap and prime that we can into the cast coil form at the desired chemistries that we're looking for.
Right now, one of our operators is filling up our holding furnace. Furnace holds 60,000 pounds of molten aluminum. He's transferring it from our main melter over to our holding unit. Once the aluminum is captured in the holder, it'll sit there until the casters pull it out, which is down this hill on the downside of this melting department.
The molten aluminum is led into the casting department through a number of heated troughs and cleansing filters on its way to the casting machine.
This is the last time you'll see it as a liquid to a solid. Once it goes up in the water-cooled rolls, it turns directly into a solid, comes up and over, and gets wound up in a full-size cast coil. All the coils here at JW Aluminum are cut to a specific size. We call it OD, or overall diameter. The mills can only handle so much aluminum, but we try to cast them as big as we can to get the most out of it that we can. It takes about 6 hours to make a coil, and this coil is ready to cut.
The cast coil is then transported to the coal mill, where the reduction of the sheet begins.
The coal mill is basically a heavy-duty mill. You know, it's set up to do the dirty, heavy work, and it's got power.
What these mills do, they actually reduce the gauge. Gauge is the thickness of the metal. So, say 215 gauge is almost a 1/4 inch thick.
After an initial pass on the coal mill, coils are brought to the annealing ovens, which soften the metal for continued reductions on the mills.
We have 4 sheet annealing ovens. They can capacity of 6 coils per oven. We can range up to 1,140 degrees during cycle. Our oven cycles vary. We have some as short as 12 hours and some go up to 30 hours. And the reason we heat the metal is so we can further process it to stretch the metal and make it thinner, determining on our customer needs.
Once the coils are taken from the annealing ovens, they are brought back to the coal mill for what is called a rundown pass. The coils are then brought to the foil mill for additional gauge reduction.
They feed the coil through the hold-down roll. The hold-down roll actually forces it into the mill bite. I mean, inside the mill, it's probably going to get 400 degrees. And running at 2,000 feet a minute builds up a lot of friction. So you've got to have coolant on the roll. So this is actually the finished gauge of the coil. So the operator over here, he's the one that actually kind of takes care of the process. He's actually the one that makes the coil from the incoming gauge to the final gauge.
It's a very skillful job where he has to manage the tensions, the pressures that he's putting on that sheet, as well as the speed that he's bringing it through as not to cause fire and to maintain the quality of the product for the customer. Once the coils are taken to their final gauge at the 22 mil, they're placed back into the ovens for another softening before going to the finishing department. The finishing department's responsibility is to take one of our master widths and cut it down to the customer's desired width and apply lubrication as required by the customer to run in their presses.
This is the slitter separator, the last stop in the process from casting before packing. After being annealed, I have to go check the temperatures, and if it's at the right temperature, I bring it and I load it to the back of the machine. After that, we have to thread it up through the line, whether it be in stretch or no stretch. Down here below me is the coater. Whether it gets coated, we put it up through here so the oil can electronically magnetize to the metal. It runs through these rolls that you see down here where it overlaps a specially built head to the customer's specifications. That's how we know which width that we want the coils to be cut at. Well, right now the coil stopped turning, and after it stopped, we have to cut it off, and he's cutting off samples right now.
And what we'll do is we'll go down to the slitter, pick that up, bring it up here, and then we'll measure it. We'll cut it down to size to run 3 different tests on it. We'll run a tensile test, we'll run the Olsen test, and elongation test. And then we'll set that, cut them down to a 10 by 10 for our retains, which is our retains are what we keep in case the customer says, hey, you know, a little bit issue with this, can we retest?
Upon release by quality control, the coils are taken to the packing department where they are prepared for shipment.
We're here in the packing department, and what we do is over at the slitter, the coil comes off onto the table. We will take product off the table, we will weigh it. After we weigh it, we will bring it back here and put it on our flipper. We will flip it, pack it to our customer's specs. After that, we will place it on the shrink wrap machine. It will roll down and then start wrapping. We will place our labels on it, our row number, our oracle number, and our case ticket.
All right, so once the material leaves the packing area, they bring it over here and place it into our warehouse here. And they designate the location. They systematically tell the system what row they've assigned it to. That way when we run an inventory report or when we're trying to search for inventory or manage our inventory, we know exactly what location it's in. We can go straight to the material and find it. This is our finished product. It comes through the packing line after it comes across finishing down here. This is our identification label, also known as our LPN label. The number located here at the top represents the number that is in the system. So if we plug this number into our system, I can tell you anything you want to know about it, where it's going, where it's been, what it started off as, what it's become, what it will become. From this in particular coil here, this will become a pan, such as what you cook your turkey in at your Thanksgiving dinner. This is the final step before it goes out the door and to the customer, and essentially to yours and my family at home and on our kitchen table. So I take pride and I take a lot of responsibility in making sure we ship a quality product to our customer.
Rolling aluminum at JW, a process that takes skill and concentration in order to make a quality product while maintaining a safe work environment.